It looks like both sides are running psychological operations on their supporters. This, headline from CNN that talks about hundreds being, detained and arrested with ICE raids, um, makes for good play. But in the last 8 years, and you can look this up on your own, 2.5 million people were deported. Not just arrested, deported under Barack Obama. So I pulled out a calculator here to see if I can do this right. 2.5 million people divided by 8 years equals 312,500 people per year. Now let's divide that by 365 days in a year, and we get 856 people every single day for the last 8 years. And the previous 8 years, Bush did about 2 million. Now people look at that and go, oh my gosh, that's horrible. Well, since 1992-3, when illegal immigration really took off in this country, we've seen 30 million illegal aliens come into the country. So, 30 million come in, and over a 16-year period, we see 4.5 million get arrested. I wouldn't say that the U.S. has been this, giant anti-immigrant country. That's not even 20%. And that's just talking about illegal immigration. That's not talking about total immigration. This is another article off of Fox News that talks about how sanctuary cities, some of them around the country, are caving on some of their policies to ensure federal funding goes uninterrupted. And I suppose that's probably, given the policies that they're letting go of, probably a good decision for their cities. But because if you look at the actual policies that are talking about, basically what they're saying is they're going to cooperate with ICE instead of not cooperating with ICE. The only one I have a question of is the detention. If localities are going to be required to foot the bill for detention of these people, and it's a federal issue with their being deported, that should fall money-wise to the federal government, not localities. And that speaks here of the issue in Miami-Dade, just south of us here. They don't really have much of a money issue down there, so I don't think they're going to, given the hundreds of millions of dollars that come into there every year out of the federal government, it's probably just a question of finances. But something else I wanted to talk about was this, and I've talked about it before. And Donald Trump and his connections to the South Americans, and that's been going on since my time in the military in the late 80s and early 90s. There were always whispers of different connections of different people that were floating around in circles they shouldn't have been. Just in case anybody's out there going, show us proof or don't talk about it, show us proof. And I've heard this so many times. Here's 2015. Donald Trump invests in Colombia with hotel and soccer team. August 6, 2015, right before his presidential run. And nobody ever talked about this. $90 million purchase of a hotel in Medellin, Colombia. Well, gosh, I wonder what use he would have for that, given that he was planning on being president of the United States. Why would he need to buy a hotel in Colombia, Medellin, Colombia, if he was going to be president of the United States? What possible use could he have? I mean, given that he was going to have to divest himself of it almost immediately, allegedly. So, this whole thing with this guy and the wall in Mexico, this has a whole lot more to do with this than it does anything else. These are the trade routes that the Mexicans have and how they bring drugs into this country. And see this little part I'm circling right here? Ciudad Juarez? I was stationed here. This is where I worked with INS. And believe me, at that time the Mexicans weren't nearly as big as they are now. But there was a whole lot more drugs coming through here than there ever was over here. And I'm just wondering now, there was this thing called Operation High Step, and you can look it up from about 2005, where they seized, DEA seized a bunch of furniture and paintings and clothing and different things that had drugs sewn into them, and that's how they were getting them into this country. Um, and it makes me just kind of wonder a little bit about this whole Ivanka Trump thing and why it's bothering Donald Trump so bad. I wonder if perhaps there is maybe a stop along the way from China with that clothing to have certain things added to it to make it happier. But that's just speculation. But this is not speculation. This is fact. So, given that Guzman is no longer in play, this gives the Colombians a huge opportunity to divest themselves of their Mexican counterparts. And now that they have a man in the Oval Office that is going to make life on the Mexican drug cartels very, very difficult, and he's going to disrupt Mexican drug circles by deporting people here, it's just going to pave the way for the Colombians to take over their empire again. After Escobar was killed, they've kind of been second rate to the Mexicans, and I think we're going to see that go away. But like I said, folks, you need to do your own homework on this one. I can only point you so far, given what I know and where I'm from, military-wise. I just have to watch my step a little bit. So, anyway, this is going to be a little bit shorter video today. I just wanted to cover this and show you the psychological operations between CNN and Fox News. You know, this is going to be an effect. I know I'm kind of jumping around today, but this whole thing with him stepping up immigration enforcement, these people aren't going to call the police anymore. And when they don't call the police, it's going to really operate just like the inside of a prison does. These people are going to start to, you know, mete out their own versions of justice because they don't trust the authorities. So, anyway, like, share, subscribe. Thank you so much for coming to the videos. I sure appreciate it. And we will see you next time. Thanks.